outlay doon nga sa ghost projects or substandard projects, halimbawa sa flood control, ay apektado yung growth natin. Ibig sabihin, kung hindi napunta sa corruption yung parte ng budget dyan, ay siguro yung ekonomiya natin would have been growing by 6 to 6.2% at mas malaki ang koleksyon ng BIR at BOC. Now, having said that, on the second part of your question, on the non-tax revenue, dahil dito, kung nagkaroon ng kulang man ang tax revenues natin sa BIR at BOC, nasa loob ng non-tax revenue. Kung kaya, last year, pumalo nga na 16.7% ang revenue to GDP natin, na highest in the last 27 years. This year, inaasahan din natin na may konting baba ang koleksyon ng BIR at BOC, pero mapupunan din ng tax revenues, non-tax revenue, dahil naasahan natin that this year, makakakolekta tayo ng mahigit 350 billion sa non-tax revenue. At nang sa ganon, we will hit our revenue targets for the entire year. At papalo yung revenue to GDP natin. Sa ngayon, we're also already at roughly about 16.5% as well. No? Vision 2040. A prosperous middle-class society where poverty is eradicated. And I'd like to stress this, our national budget, the main engine of our growth, is more than just a list of expenses. For every line item, every project carries a price tag that represents the hard-earned revenues we at the DOF work tirelessly to raise. That's why we must look at the budget not just in terms of spending, but also through the lens of revenues. Next year, our proposed national budget stands at 6.79 trillion pesos. But only 4.98 trillion pesos are supportable by revenues. Ibig sabihin, ang gastusin ng gobyerno ay aabot sa 18.61 billion piso kada araw. But only 13.65 billion pesos per day will be financed by revenue collections. Monday to Sunday, every 24 hours, kada 24 oras. Ganito po kabigat ang kailangan malikom ng DOF araw-araw with our minuscule proposed budget of only 37.78 billion pesos for 2026. The amount is only 1.09% higher than in 2025. And it represents less than 1% of the total proposed 2026 national budget. To guide us in this Herculean task, we have the refined medium-term fiscal program. This is our roadmap to keep the deficit in check and the debt sustainable while creating more jobs, increasing incomes, and reducing poverty. And we are so far right on target. Over the past 3 years, revenues have grown at a double-digit pace, averaging 13.8% annually. Tax collections have expanded by 11.5% every year. Last year, we posted a revenue effort of 16.7%, the highest in 27 years and one of the strongest in Asia. At nagpapasalamat po kami sa ating mga taxpayers sa kanilang ambag para sa bayan. To finance our budget next year, our marching order is to increase revenue collection by 10.2%. This means we're challenging the BIR and BOC to work harder to meet our targets. Nagpapasalamat din po kami sa Kongreso at sa Senado sa pagpasa ng mga reforma na makakatulong sa ating koleksyon. Aside from this, the DOF is scouting for more resources without inflicting new taxes or bequeathing debts to be paid by future generations. That is why the DOF hiked GOCC dividend rates to 75% from 50%. And that is why we are privatizing more underutilized government assets. Our fiscal discipline has earned us a credit rating upgrade and positive outlook from international agencies. Patunay po ito na malakas ang kumpiyansa ng mga investor sa ating ekonomiya. And the DOF will continue to safeguard these high ratings by staying true to our fiscal consolidation plan. If we stay faithful to our MTFF by 2028, Total revenues will hit nearly 6 trillion pesos, climbing further to 7 trillion pesos by 2030. And we will bring down our deficit to around 4% of GDP by 2028 and further to 3% by 2030. At the same time, we project the economy to reach 42.6 trillion pesos by 2030 while keeping our debt manageable at 58% of GDP. Clearly, raising revenues is no joke. That's why we at the DOF will never tolerate corruption or wasteful spending. The recent flood control controversy may have cast a shadow on public spending, but this is the start of a cleanup, and we only see upside over the next few months. The President himself is the whistleblower of this controversy. At malinaw ang kanyang mensahe, we will never turn a blind eye to corruption. Things will only get better from here as we have laid down the foundations for long-term growth, the creation of an independent commission for infrastructure, stronger governance, digitalized procurement systems, and full transparency at every level of government. And justice will be served in the months ahead. Those responsible will be held fully accountable and brought to jail. At the same time, we're moving decisively to fix Metro Manila's flooding through stronger coordination with LGUs and the private sector. All these will build stronger institutions, the backbone of a stable and growing economy. We are also seeing stronger growth under the Marcos Jr. administration. The economy has grown at an average of 5.9%, among the highest in the region. But the controversy has revealed that not all capital expenditures were translating into growth. And now that we're plugging those leaks and reallocating funds to high-impact investments such as education, healthcare, agriculture, and digitalization, we will only grow faster. And this momentum is backed by low inflation, easing policy rates, strong consumer spending, and a vibrant labor market. Over 50.1 million Filipinos now have jobs, one of the highest in our history. So on the part of the DOF, we commit to protect every peso of our taxpayers' money by ensuring that their taxes are spent on the right things, at the right price, by the right agency, and at the right time. In the DOF alone, you can be assured that our 37.78 billion proposed budget is a faithful reflection of our priorities to go above and beyond in serving Filipinos. The PIR will receive the largest share of the budget at 19.15 billion pesos. This makes up for more than half, or about 55% of the total DOF proposed budget. Kung ating titignan, ang 19.15 billion pesos na ito ay kapiranggut lang kumpara sa kokolektahin ng BIR. Sa susunod na taon na aabot sa 3.58 trillion pesos. Kaya sulit na sulit po ang budget na ito ng BIR. Dahil ang katumbas nito, koleksyon lang nila sa loob ng 2 araw. Ang BOC naman ay may proposed budget na 6.91 billion lang. Kumpara sa kokolektahin nilang 1.01 trillion pesos sa susunod na taon. Ang katumbas ng kanilang budget ay nakokolekta nila in less than 3 days. Ang ating kagawaran ng Ingat Yaman o Bureau of Treasury ay may budget allocation ng 4.7 billion pesos kumpara sa bigat ng kanilang responsibilidad na punan ang 1.65 trillion peso na deficit sa 2026. In terms of allocation, about 45% of our proposed budget under new general and automatic appropriations goes to personnel services, 38% to MOE and 17% to capital outlays, and less than 1% to financial expenses. This allocation reflects our focus on workforce upskilling and digital infrastructure. Digitalization and modernization initiatives remain a high priority across all agencies, with a total budget of 6.9 billion pesos. We will transform processes, integrate systems, and deliver faster, more efficient services. Now, allow me to talk about the specific budget proposals of each DOF agency. The BIR's budget is 8.3% higher than this year's GAA, totaling 19.15 billion pesos. This is driven by the personnel compensation adjustments under EO 64 and increased operating costs. The POC's budget will decrease by 25.5% to 6.9 billion pesos, mainly because its 2021 rewards and incentive fund amounting to 3.6 billion pesos has been moved to the automatic appropriations under this year's GAA. The Bureau of Treasury's budget is 4.7 billion pesos, 27.3% lower than in 2025, due to the reclassification of the insurance premiums on government assets to the unprogrammed appropriations. The IC has proposed a total budget of 1.2 billion pesos, 18.6% higher from this year's level, due to investments in digitalization. The proposed budget for the DOF Office of the Secretary is 1.3 billion pesos, a 29.6% increase from this year's GAA due to our ongoing ICT modernization. The BLGF budget will increase to 996.2 million pesos, or about 128% from this year's level, to support the implementation of the local governance reform program. The National Tax Research Center has a proposed budget of 154 million pesos, a 6.8% increase from 2025, mainly due to the salary adjustments under EO 64. Meanwhile, the proposed budget of the Privatization and Management Office will rise by 21.2% to 134.6 million pesos to support its ICT infrastructure upgrade. Finally, the Central Board of Assessment Appeals has a proposed budget of 18.4 million pesos, a marginal increase of 1.6% from the year prior. As I close, let me assure the honorable members of this committee that this budget proposal adheres to the highest standards of fiscal discipline. In fact, for 4 consecutive years, the DOF has earned an unmodified or unqualified opinion from the Commission on Audit. Ibig sabihin po, malinaw na napatunayan ng ating mga auditor na ang ating financial statements ay tapat, maayos at naayon sa itinakdang pamantayan ng financial reporting. Over the years, the DOF has also consistently proven its efficiency in budget utilization. As of the end of August, we have achieved a higher obligation rate of 82% and a disbursement rate of 93%. But let me underscore this important fact. The DOF is no ordinary spending agency. We are the nation's chief fundraiser, the very lifeblood of government programs. If we were judged by the same yardstick as those who simply spend the funds we raise, our accomplishment and contributions would not even fit on the usual agency performance review scorecard. To end, let me give this committee my firm assurance every peso invested in the DOF and its attached agencies will not only return, but will multiply, doubling, tripling, even growing tenfold, as it goes back to the Filipino people in the form of better infrastructure, better services, and better opportunities. Na bawat ambag ng ating mga taxpayers bumabalik sa kanila. So we humbly ask for your support and your trust. Maraming salamat po, and we're now ready to answer any and all your questions. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Thank you, Secretary, for the budget presentation. And I just have a few policy questions and also a few questions on the budget itself. I'll start off with the revenue, because tama ko kayo na ang DOF ay in charge sa revenue collection natin in all forms, whether tax or non-tax.
Yes.
And we're looking at the historical performance of our revenue collection. So I'll show a slide in slide 120 So since 2015, in terms of revenue targets, the government has um, surpassed its targets by 3 times in 2020, 2021, and 2022. The rest failed to surpass its targets. But on the non-tax revenue, we saw a very good trend that in the last 3 years, lumalaki yung non-tax revenue natin. So I believe these are dividends and other asset sales. No? So my question is, ano yung mga challenges na hinaharap ng gobyerno? Bakit hindi natin tatamaan yung ating revenue targets? And what are the innovations that we implemented to improve non-tax revenue? Parang there's a potential for non-tax revenue because non-tax obviously doesn't burden, although it's not as much as the tax, but it doesn't burden our taxpayers directly, at least. So those are the two questions initially, Secretary.
Well, with regard to the revenue targets, once you miss your GDP growth, naturally affected your revenue target mo, number one, or tax revenues. No? Number two, there are many global challenges that we are facing today. And naturally, if you have a global economic slowdown, apektado din yung halimbawa, koleksyon ng ang local GDP mo, apektado rin. Ang Bureau of Customs, apektado rin yan sa koleksyon when you have a global slowdown in trade, halimbawa. No? At nakikita natin na because of the corruption issue na nangyari, nakita natin in the last few years, dahil nga dito sa flood control program, tataka ako, sa laki ng ginagastos ng ating pamahalaan, dapat mas malaki ang growth ng ating ekonomiya. So this explains that in spite of having this level of expenditures, dahil napunta ang parte ng capital outlay doon nga sa ghost projects or substandard projects, halimbawa sa flood control, ay apektado yung growth natin. Ibig sabihin, kung hindi napunta sa corruption yung parte ng budget dyan, ay siguro yung ekonomiya natin would have been growing by 6 to 6.2% at mas malaki ang koleksyon ng BIR at BOC. Now, having said that, on the second part of your question, on the non-tax revenue, dahil dito, kung nagkaroon ng kulang man ang tax revenues natin sa BIR at BOC, nasa loob ng tax revenue, ng non-tax revenue. Kung kaya, last year, pumalo nga ng 16.7% ang revenue to GDP natin, na highest in the last 27 years. This year, inaasahan din natin na may konting baba ang koleksyon ng BIR at BOC, pero mapupunan din ng tax revenues, non-tax revenue, dahil naasahan natin na this year, makakakolekta tayo ng mahigit 350 billion sa non-tax revenue. At nang sa ganon, we will hit our revenue targets for the entire year. At papalo yung revenue to GDP natin. Sa ngayon, we're also already at roughly about 16.5% as well. No? So clearly, ang problema natin nasa expenditure side at wala sa revenue side. No? So, anong ginawa natin sa non-tax revenue? Una-una, minabuti natin at tutukan ang ating mga GOCCs na siguraduhin natin that they operate better, na nakakapagbigay sila ng dividendo sa gobyerno. Tinaasan natin yung dividendo na natatanggap ng gobyerno mula sa ating mga government-owned and controlled corporations na dati 50% na pinabayaran, ngayon tinaas natin yan to 75%. No? Ganun din, ang isang parte ng non-tax revenue, yung investments ng treasury, na malaki rin ang nakukuha natin na revenue stream dahil doon sa mga investments na yan. No? Na ang maganda dito, hindi natin pinipisan ng taong bayan. Malaking bagay itong non-tax revenue natin. No? Pangatlo, yung fees and charges. So, lumalaki din ang collection natin sa fees and charges. So, ngayon, yung fees and charges naman, hindi nga tax yan, pero galing din sa taong bayan yan. Dahil fees and charges nga na nakokolekta ng gobyerno na galing sa mamamayan. No? Ang pang-apat dyan ay yung privatization. No? Noong nakaraang taon, we were able to privatize successfully yung NAIA. Kaseklan. CBK, sorry. CBK. Na by the end of the year, kukolekta tayo ng 36 billion, pero billion dollar. Magkano? Only. $36 million. Okay. Pero hindi pa yan kasama sa kwenta natin ng tax revenue for this year. Dahil baka malate ng konti yan, baka ang booking yan January na next year. No? At marami pang iba. So these are the elements of your non-tax revenue.
Thank you, Secretary. And in your opinion, kasi nakaka-affect nga sa revenue collection natin yung mga external headwinds, even internal situation like corruption. In your opinion, ano ba yung, in your opinion and analysis, what are the top headwinds, whether internal or external, that can affect our revenue this coming 2026?
So start domestically. Internally, posible magkaroon ng slowdown in growth itong third quarter because of all the reforms being initiated by our President. Nasiguraduhin na magastos ng tama ang taxpayers' money in executing the budget as well. So, magkaroon ng posibleng slowdown ang economic growth natin dahil pag nag-slowdown ang gobyerno sa paggastos, posible tamaan yung ekonomiya natin dito a bit. So, posible third quarter, fourth quarter, magkaroon ng konting slowdown. Posible hanggang umabot din ang first quarter next year. And then, but the good news is that moving forward, lahat yan upside na. Kasi maayos natin yung problema. So moving forward, you will realize your full potential of growth. Meaning to say, pwede, based on our demographic data, based on
so, baka malik ka.
we have a stable macroeconomic environment. Based on that, the economy can easily grow anywhere from 6 to 7%. Siguraduhin lang natin that we execute the budget properly at nagagastos natin ng tama. So this is the biggest threat, number one. The second biggest threat internally. Externally, maraming unpredictability. Well, one, geopolitical tensions, yung problema natin sa China, yung problema ng US sa China. Just a few days ago, nagsabi ang America, President Trump has said that he will impose 100% tariffs on China. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin ng 100% tariff on China? Ibig sabihin there's no trade between US and China. Titigil lahat yan. Okay? And because of that, if you have the two biggest economies having a trade war, ano ibig sabihin yan? Dililiit yung global trade. And because of the tariffs imposed on the Philippines, maapektuhan din yung current account balance natin. No? Mapapawasan yung export natin halimbawa sa Amerika, among others. No? So these are the challenges. So the geopolitical tensions, a trade war, of course, mabuti lang naman na medyo naayos sa Israel-Gaza war, but you still have the Russia-Ukraine war, so on and so forth. Yeah. So these are all the external headwinds.
Yung internal, because of the corruption, what's happening with DPWH in particular, the corruption issue, ang fear ko kasi because of the reforms being undertaken, and importante yung reforms, ginagawa ni Secretary Dizon, but the reforms will obviously have an effect on spending. Like, bigyan kita ng example.
Correct.
Nabasa ko yung pinahold lahat ng mga reblocking, which is tama naman, no? Kasi maraming ang mga, actually marami rin akong kukuhang comments sa social media, bakit kayo Spring Calzada, rini-reblock na. But obviously, nung hininto yan, pag hininto nationwide, hindi walang contractor na gagawa nun, hindi sila magbabayad ng income tax, hindi sila bibili ng mga materials, walang VAT, so may effect sa magkakaroon ng slowdown in terms of revenue collection. This is on the government spending side pa lang.
Correct.
And that's why the key is dapat mabilis yung reform na gagawin ng DPWH. Or else, that's close to about 900 billion in terms of infra spending na pwedeng, well, ngayon kasi nasa third quarter na tayo, so mga kalahati siguro mga 400-500 billion, pwedeng madelay. And it can affect our collection later on. So that's why corruption, itong issue on corruption, may effect talaga sa government operations because of the reforms that we are undertaking. Meron bang epekto on taxpayer payments? Do you think it will affect people in terms of
Generally,
paying their taxes? Dahil marami na didismaya, daming mga rally, daming mga ano, but do you see any slowdown in terms of paying taxes?
yes, nararamdaman ng BIR yan. Medyo yung growth rate ng collection nila nababawasan ng konti, but so far, manageable naman lahat.
Nandun ang ayaw nating mangyari na mawala yung kumpiyansa ng gobyerno, ng taong bayan sa gobyerno.
That's correct.
And the offshoot there is, yung iba, mag-withhold muna ng payments, or yung iba, siguro magkaroon ng many times pag-iisipan bago magbayad. No? So, that's why it's important to fight corruption and curb corruption, and I commend the DOF for stating that the DOF will never tolerate corruption. So, that's one. The other one is I'll drill down, Secretary, to some of our revenue drivers, which is BIR and BOC. So nakita rin namin, if we drill down on slide 121, sa BIR, in terms of revenue targets from 2015, only hit one time in terms of their revenue targets. BOC hit about 4 times in terms of their revenue targets in 2015. So this affects our overall collection because our main drivers in terms of collection is BIR and BOC. So, may I know from first BIR muna, kung ano yung nagiging challenges, bakit hindi na hit yung revenue targets, only once lang in 2020. And then later on to BOC. BOC is performing better, but then again, the best case scenario, lahat matamaan natin yung targets. No? So, may I know from both agencies what are the challenges that they are encountering? How come we're not hitting the targets? So, anyone who wants to, Commissioner Lumaki, maybe you can start with that question.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. For BIR, I'm not sure about the data on for last year based on the slide, but for last year, we have a positive based on the BPCC target. So we were able to achieve the 2024 target.
This is positive 2.7. Mali lang yung kulay.
Yes.
Mali lang yung
Okay.
kulay.
Thank you for the clarification. And also for 2023, I think the figure there is mainly because of because of the transition from the monthly VAT to quarterly VAT. That's why there's a problem with the data on 2022 and 2023 figures. But the challenge mainly is I think it's really more on number one is the illicit trades. We've been addressing that, and we've seen a higher collection since we started an aggressive approach on illicit trades, especially on excise tax collections on illicit tobacco. So we've seen a drastic improvement in terms of collections on excise taxes, especially with our collections from the vape industry, because previously there was really no payments from that industry, kaya naman tumaas po ang ating ang collection po doon. Sa VAT din po tumaas din ang naging collection natin sa VAT. So So essentially, it's really just monitoring. We will be more efficient, and we're hopeful. For the first semester of 2025, we were attaining our targets for the first semester. So we're just continuing our aggressive approach on curbing illicit trades, and nagiging maganda yung aming collections, especially also collections from our raid or run after the tax evaders and yung ating run after fake transactions, which saw a dramatic increase in VAT collections because of our program on that. So we intend to sustain our aggressive approach on illicit trades and other unlawful activities, and we're hopeful. But of course, with the challenges that were mentioned a while ago, for the second semester and the first quarter and for next year, yan po talaga yung magiging challenge. But we're hopeful, we're positive that our targets will, our collection will perform better.
Good